This is Rock That Doesn't Roll, the story of Christian music. I'm Andrew Gill, a music journalist who grew up listening to Christian rock. And today we have another feed drop of an episode from another podcast that I know you will love if you love this podcast. It's actually a past guest from season 3, Jason P. Woodbury. He was on to talk about Ozzy Osbourne. And this is an episode of the podcast he hosts for Aquarium Drunkard. It's called Transmissions, and this is an episode where he scored a very rare interview with Jason Martin of Starflyer 59. This is a band that probably needs no introduction for many of our listeners, but a nutshell bio on them is they are a Southern California band that brought the shoegaze sound to Christian independent music. They were one of the first bands on Tooth and Nail Records and have continued releasing albums for decades. It's hard to keep up with them. And I found their longtime fans are vinyl obsessives. And sometimes you can find their records going for a lot of money on eBay and Discogs. This is an interview around the time of his last album being released, Lust for Gold. And I guess that's all we really need to say. Transmissions is a great podcast, has lots of great interviews on it. So if you haven't already, we would encourage you to check it out. Here's the episode of Transmissions with Starflyer 59.
Rock that doesn't roll. Doesn't roll.
My name is Justin Gage, and you're tuned in to the Aquarium Drunkard Transmissions podcast with your host, Jason Woodbury.
Welcome back to Aquarium Drunkard Transmission. So glad to have you here with us once again. I'm Jason P. Woodbury, and this is the 30th episode of our 9th season. And with me is Transmissions editor Andrew Horton. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
Man, well, this week we have what I believe is the first ever podcast interview with Jason Martin of California dream pop band Starflyer 59. Fermented in the nascent Riverside dream pop underground alongside his brother Ronnie Martin of Joy Electric, Starflyer 59 released its debut album, Silver, 30 years ago in 1994. The new Starflyer album is called Lust for Gold, and that title is a winking, knowing nod at the title of 1995's Gold, which is routinely cited in best shoegaze lists. But one of the things that I find most fascinating about Starflyer is how the band has evolved and changed and grown over the years. But when we're talking about Starflyer 59, we're talking about one guy, really, Jason Martin, and he's our guest this week on the show. So, you know, Horton, from the band's early monochromatic album covers to his notoriously sparse interviews, you can find one on Aquarium Drunkard where there are plenty of terse, short sentences. I think I was a little nervous going into this one that we were gonna not be able to get Jason to talk, but it didn't work out that way, did it?
Yeah, I think that Jason, at least among people that have followed the band as long as we have, Jason is one of these sort of notoriously difficult interviews. Kind of like, I think of people like Stephen Merritt or Lou Reed, or some of these people who traditionally just do not suffer fools in interviews and don't really play the game, don't give a lot back. They don't come with talking points. They're not ready to take the ball and run with it when you ask them a broad softball question. So one of, like, it's almost like a little kind of viral thing in the among Starflyer fans. There was an interview once where Jason Martin was asked, "What do you find, or what makes you laugh?" And his response was, "Funny things."
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, I think it's clear he's always preferred to let the music do the talking to whatever degree, it's going to do that. But yeah, I will say that it's, the perception of Jason Martin, maybe from people who listen to the music and they sort of get this idea in their head of some brooding, sad sack, indie rock kind of guy. That's not really Martin at all, it turns out.
Yeah, and this is kind of why I wanted to be in the conversation, because, again, full disclosure, I'll put some cards on the table. Just through living in the world and the scene, I have known Jason Martin and his brother Ronnie for a long time now, starting with literally when I was a teenager, coming out to their shows and eventually transitioning to playing in Ronnie's band Joy Electric with him on a bunch of tours across the U.S., and then even a reunion show we did about this time last year. So I've kind of seen the men behind the curtain a little bit compared to the average person, and that's something that I wanted to do. Is really, if Jason's going to give us his literal first recorded interview he's ever done, podcast or otherwise, really, I wanted people to see a little bit of the real guy, because I think that, Jason, you and I come from a little bit of this kill your idols kind of 90s background, where I don't want people to think that this is this Robert Smith, Tom York type character who's kind of floating and moping his way through life. I want to hear that this is just a dude, and everybody's just a dude at the end of the day. And it, to me, that's sort of the kind of absurdity and beauty, whether they're Bowie or Scott Walker or Lou Reed, Jason Martin, they're all just dudes. And so I wanted to really cut through some of that frippery and pageantry and just be like, what's that kind of hangout chat? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I think we got it too. And it's really, really a pleasure to be able to share this with folks. Perhaps the first even audio interview period, which is great to think about. So, I will say though, before we roll tape on it, that, I think that one of the things Starflyer is kind of one of those cult bands, and they were one of the first bands that I was a member of the cult, So when I think about their importance to me personally, it was really as a gateway to all sorts of wider worlds of music as well. So it was kind of cool to bring it full circle with somebody who really kickstarted my own desire to dig into sounds that, weren't what everybody else was talking about, when all my friends were listening to emo, rock, and I was listening to a lot of that stuff too. Starflyer started to provide sort of that parallel universe where it's like there's all this other stuff. So this is my long way of saying I think that we should start like an online ceramic style Starflyer bootleg t-shirt business, you and I. And we could start with the classic Steely ripoff, and it could say "Stack Your Face," for the everybody makes mistakes heads. There we go. We'll get right on that. Check the merch store.
Yeah, drawn from one of the more cryptic lyrics, which is really saying something. You talk about a band that has had some very impressionistic, non-narrative lyrics, especially earlier on.
Yeah,
I stack your face. Yeah, and I think the Steely. If we could maybe work in the Bucky's Beaver in there somehow, also, I'm all for doing the ultimate kind of bootleg mashup.
I can see it. Well, before we press play on the conversation, a note to everybody. Of course, Aquarium Drunkard is supported by our subscribers, so head over to Aquarium Drunkard, get locked in, and get access to nearly 20 years worth of playlists, interviews, essays, radio shows, podcasts like this one with people who you don't hear on all of the other shows. Occasionally, Transmissions get some crossover with a few shows. It came up with the creative control, but nobody's got Martin right now except for Transmissions. And so thanks to Horton for that. Thanks to everybody at Velvet Blue, Jeff Cloud, of course. And here we go. Jason Martin in conversation. Andrew, thanks so much for doing this one with me.
You got it. Let's roll.
Left
Jason Martin, thanks so much for joining us here on the Aquarium Drunkard Transmissions podcast. We're joined this episode by co-host Andrew Horton, longtime Starflyer. I think I read your name in some Starflyer liner notes, Horton, like a long time ago. Am I right?
Long time ago. Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, man. Horty's been around, man.
It's a story about, like, did your mom make the band Spaghetti or something along those lines?
So in 1998, Jason, I wonder how much you remember of any of this. You know, that he's got the whole touring life behind him. But in 98, it was the Fashion Focus tour.
All right.
And Starflyer came all the way to the East Coast, to Virginia Beach, where I'm from. And there was this whole thing where we were like, well, dude, like, what do we do? What can we do to help? And so my mom was like, hey, I can make a bunch of food. So we made a bunch of food so they wouldn't be eating, you know, McDonald's and junk. And so we ended up hanging out. And weirdly, at the time, the singer of Velour 100 was this girl named Alicia Luma, who was from here. And so
I don't remember that, but it's kind of fuzzy. Yeah.
So we've got this whole kind of like history there. That's probably where it started.
Yeah,
man. I mean, I remember playing Fall Beach, man, but I got dementia, man. I forget a lot of stuff. I don't know, man. Yeah, that sounds right.
It's been almost 30 years, so like it's a miracle any of us remember any of it.
Weren't you at my parents' house in San Clemente playing with my brother or something? I remember that too, kind of, right?
Yeah. So actually, Jason, it's really funny because that's actually literally, I have a story about that I was going to kick us off with.
Oh, okay.
So on and off for many years, I've played in a band with Jason's brother, Ronnie, a band called Joy Electric. And we did a West Coast tour in, I don't know, probably 2005-ish. Okay. And Jason, I was going to lead off with this story because it's a story about your dad. Okay. And I was in your dad's garage and there was this cat. They had like several cats around.
Yeah.
And there's this one cat and it's going like, you know, it keeps doing this, this like not right sounding cough. And your dad pauses there and he goes, well, he's not going to be around much longer.
Yeah, my dad wasn't exactly an animal lover, but yeah, that sounds about right.
That's really funny. I think, you know, Jason, and this is also interesting. I think it's the first time I've ever had another Jason on the podcast. So we'll be able to tell who's who. But
all right.
But I think that's something Horton and I talked a lot about as big fans of the band. You know, what if we could clear up one misconception about Starflyer 59? What would it be? And we both agreed that the number one thing we want to make clear is you're a very funny guy. You have a sense of humor. I think
well, hopefully, but no, man. It's I can't. I don't know how do I put all this stuff. I have a hard time with artists taking themselves serious. I mean, when you're doing it, you're serious, but it's like you really look at it. It's the whole thing is silly. It's like, you know, we're talking about this new record, right? It's got some shitty drum sounds, some big muffs, a far under par singer, unfortunately me. And then it comes out and I'm supposed to act like this brooding dude. And it's like, I did the best I could with what I got, but it's kind of funny. I mean, it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think even down to the title of the record, Lust for Gold, you know, that's you being meta and kind of punny in a way that's a little different, right? Because it's a reference, of course, to the classic record that you already made called Gold, but also, I mean, there's not a lot of gold in the music business right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna hit it.
Yeah. So I think that there's this element of like, you know, when I think about this record, there are you incorporate some sounds that evoke the earlier records, the earliest records. But I don't think it's a full throwback at all. You know, that's the other thing that Horton and I talked a lot about was I hear nods to all the different sort of quote unquote eras of Starflyer in the mix. But
I mean, I tried. We really did, man. It's about as close as, I mean, you know, that other stuff. I'm 21 years old, or whatever. It's like, I think a few songs, but then I listen back, you know, because my kid, you know, Charlie's really into that stuff, and yeah, you listen back, and I'm like, oh, dude, I can't even, you know, my voice is 2 octaves lower, and I can't do that stuff, and yeah, it's impossible to truly go back, but we did try.
Yeah, I think that so much of your early work, you're singing about feeling, you know, old, right? Or feeling older, old
I know,
soul kind of
now I'm here, and in 20 years, I really have something to talk about.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, that story that Horton told about your dad, you know, your father has casted a large shadow over a lot of your records, you know, and I think that
yeah, he has.
Hearing that sort of like, maybe, you know, he's not going to be around much longer isn't like a full-on joke, you know, it's more of a statement of fact, but I can imagine it reading as grimly funny, which is something I also think that the Starflyer records have always, a streak of self-deprecation to some degree. But on that topic of you having a sense of humor, yeah, I think people think that brooding, you know, tortured poet or whatever, I think maybe that's who people imagine sometimes when they listen to the records.
I don't want to be that guy. I mean, you know, it's like, I don't know, man. Most people that think things are funny or kind of silly, there's always a pretty big touch of the blue in them, you know? So I think a lot of times it's like, you know, you kind of lean towards funny so you don't wind up rolling around like a sad sack, but then when you're by yourself, you're like, I'm kind of bummed about this. You know what I mean? So it's, I think silly guys, it's just kind of a coping with, you know, life's a little tricky sometimes, but if that makes any sense at all.
It's the classic thing, Jason. Like, it's that classic kind of two-sided dichotomy to it. Because, you know, I think back, you look at Starflyer, right? Even as early as a couple years in, you're doing everyone makes mistakes. You know what I mean? Like there's that self-aware. I remember, Jason, you and I, sorry, I'm going to go to last names. Martin, you and I talked a couple years ago, and it was around the time of the Morellis Forest reissue, which for anyone listening is not the same band as the Dayton, Ohio Morellis Forest.
No.
But one of the things at that time we were talking about, you said you were thinking about calling the next Starflyer record Win Some, Lose Most. And that title has just stuck with, it's like a perfect title that captures, I think, what we're talking about.
I don't remember that, but I believe it.
I mean, I think even, even the Easy Come, Easy Go. There's just
easy come, easy go.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, you know, and I think that desire to kind of undercut the seriousness of it is just one of the things that makes the songs actually as charming as they are, you know, and as resonant, thanks, in my opinion, you know, because I think, you know, the sense I get from listening to some of the earlier songs is when you would sing a song like, you know, Card Games and Old Friends or Fell in Love at 22. I mean, it seems like that's written sort of maybe more about imagining your parents. And now, and now as you're talking about this stuff, and it must just be kind of a weird kick to have Charlie in the band, you know, because
totally.
Now it's this like cross-generational thing, and you know, he's got his own band, and anybody who like looks at him, of course, is just going to get, you know, early Martin vibes, both you and Ronnie. So I think it's like, it's really cool to see. Hopefully he doesn't get upset that you called some of the drum sounds shitty. But anyway.
No, I didn't mean it like that. It's, you know, we're trying to do something a little more lo-fi and, you know, not try to have it so big like some of the last few records, and having nothing to do with Chuck's playing. No, it was just
yeah.
I mean, the thing is about Chuck, I can't beat the price, man. So what am I going to do, guys here? So, that's it.
It's easy to work with on the scheduling.
Everything, man.
Always
we
there.
Come out after dinner. We'll bang out a few tunes. We're always writing stuff. You know, it's cool having a drummer hanging around. You know, I can just work stuff out and, you know, figure it out from there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you were casting into the future when you wrote "Can You Play Drums?" You know, it was sort of like a someday.
Because I was always looking for a drummer. I think I've had about 80 of them.
Yeah, a familiar one on this record. Frank Lenz is in the mix, right?
Lenz is a talented guy, man. It's we kind of made contact again maybe like a year ago or so, and yeah, he's a pretty special dude, man. He does stuff that you know, he's kind of like the Dick Swift link, you know what I mean? He's got a nice touch, and
yeah,
it's kind of cool getting him on board for some stuff. And
yeah, there's a couple things, you know. Frank Lenz is, I mean, as you mentioned, a great drummer. He brings
Marvelous.
a lot great string arrangements too, which is one of the things that when I think back on like his sort of sonic signature is really big on talking voice versus singing voice, and I felt like that more recent EP you did or single that had some reimagined sort of string laden versions of some of the songs. It was cool to hear that the sort of string element incorporated. And that's another one of those things I mean of saying this isn't just a Gold, you know, because those strings wouldn't have fit in on Gold, but they fit in on Lust for Gold. So that's really cool.
great.
I saw Lenz play with Richard Swift at a venue here called Modified, and I think it's the only time I've ever actually seen him play. But really a tremendous drummer, like an insane drummer. And
yeah, man, he's like, just in general, you know, I mean, yeah, he's you know, I'm kind of a faking it dude with all the music stuff. You know, I do what I do. I start slapping my fingers in odd spots and stuff comes out, you know, but Lenz actually knows why you have 7 fingers there, and what, you know, it's all that stuff that I don't really, actually I don't want to know about it, because if I start knowing too much of that, you know, then I'm going to start writing, I don't know, praise music or something. I don't know, but, you know, whatever that means.
Yeah, Lenz. Yeah, I remember circa, I don't know, it was circa that record, Woodbury, that
Talking Voice?
Jason, yeah, circa Talking Voice, y'all went on tour with Pedro the Lion, and I came out and hung out in Chicago and saw Starflyer. At that point was a 2-piece. It was Martin and Lenz and a backing track for like the strings and all the additional kind of arrangement stuff that Lenz was doing at that time. And they played at the Metro in Chicago. It was a really killer show, and
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it felt like this moment that maybe Starflyer was going to cross over to this bigger audience or something. You know, it was always kind of felt right on the cusp of that. And Lenz, you know, even playing to this backing track, the guy's playing like Animal from the Muppets. You know, he's dropping in these fills where he's hitting like every drum in the kit 3 times in the back half of a bar. And
he's a strange. He's got a strange thing he does, man. That kind of only he does. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
And somebody pointed out recently, I had never look, you know, I've listened to these records for a long time. Someone pointed out, I had never noticed this, that there are like 0 tom-toms on Silver at any point on the entire record. And it just kind of hit me. So it's funny when you go back to talking about your drumming, the difference between the two of you. You've got a whole record with no toms, and you've got Animal from the Muppets. So that's really the two sides of drumming right there.
I think I mean, if I'm remembering right, 'cause it's 100 years ago, but I think I was playing a 3-piece kit, and then I just didn't really like the tom sounds, you know, not knowing, I didn't know anything back then. Not that I know a little more now, but I just like, oh, screw it, I'll just play kick and snare, you know. So I never really thought about it. There's not one on there.
I think there's like literally none, or there's one on one song. Woodbury, do you know? Do you have any insight?
No, I'm at a loss when it comes to the toms, but I know that there is a sparseness, of course, to those drum sounds that are really crucial. You know, I think in a lot of ways. I always think of, Martin, I don't know how comfortable or uncomfortable you are with the term shoegaze, but Horton made a funny joke online the other day that I really cracked up, and he was like, what if a shoegaze band wrote songs first before stepping on pedals? when I think about the shoegaze designation in regards to Starflyer, I hear what people mean for sure, but I think there is actually a little bit more space on those records, as heavy as they are. There's a sense of space and a sense of, I mean, I guess maybe the surf element that, you know, to me, I don't know, shoegaze, you don't sound like, it doesn't sound like My Bloody Valentine. You know what I mean? To me, it's not the same band.
Yeah, you can't. That cat's on his own plane, man. You can't really, well, shoegaze too, man. I don't know how that word, it was like a derogatory term that some dude wrote, like Melody Maker in 1990, you know, watching some slow dive show. And then I don't know what happened. Like Christian rock got a hold of that word. I'm not saying they're responsible for it. And then I don't know. Now everybody uses that word as a genre, but it's weird because when that stuff was really going on, it wasn't really called that. I mean, it's an odd thing.
I think that there's so many young kids right now are really attracted to that term and to that sound. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. Now it is a style or whatever, but yeah, it's just weird because it wasn't really, it was just cats with, you know, well, when I was into it or whatever, 1990, when I was trying to start bands, it's like, oh man, you have these like heavy riffs, but dude doesn't sing like rock guy. He sings high and like, you know, doubles his vocal or something. That's all it was. It was just kind of a weird twist on the music was hard rock and the vocals weren't. Yeah,
that hard rock element has like always been a huge part of Starflyer. There are some really good big swaggery riffs on this record too.
I love all that stuff. I've always liked that stuff. I don't know why. I just
Levain Cure.
Yeah,
there you go, man. Yeah, I don't know. I've always liked that stuff. I don't know. I don't know why the hell I like that stuff.
You know, it's so funny because when we talk about, you know, younger kids and the way that they perceive of these genres of the past and so sort of almost retro fit them in some ways. Yeah, I think like probably one of the biggest influences on the quote unquote modern shoegaze scene is like a band like Deftones. And the funniest thing is I remember at least one record review citing the Deftones as like a like-minded artist in regards to Starflyer. And I remember thinking, that's so weird. And then I started thinking about it and it's like, but in some ways it's not. They're like Southern California dudes with like an attraction to heavy riffs and atmospherics. It's like, wait a second, it playing actually kind of does chords. Yeah, right. It kind of makes sense in a certain way.
That's why, you know, that's that record I like, White Pony or something. Like,
yeah, that's a good record.
That's the one. That's the big one.
Yeah, they were doing something cool, man, because the music, I don't know what the heck the music was, but then you get that, whatever, Chino Marino trying to, you know, put Depeche Mode parts on there. I always like music that has I don't know, something that's not supposed to be on there is always kind of interesting to me. You know what I mean? If too much of it lines up, to me, there's always got to be something that's not supposed to be on there.
Yeah, that's why those loungy sounds or surfy sound, you know, to me, that's the sort of the secret stuff that makes it work is that sort of, just an attraction to a lush, like kind of quality that is different than what we're talking about in terms of just everything's drenched in fuzz or whatever. Although there's some good distortion on the records too, for sure. Yeah. I was curious about another person who worked on this record, Rob Witham, who you've been collaborating with for a very long time. In fact, you've got a band with him, Red Strat.
Oh, baby.
Did Red Strat? We played together at a venue.
Oh, that's right, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was great. It was great. We had a really good time, and it was a real treat to be hanging out with all of you guys. But I mean, I love Fine China as a band that meant a lot to me, you know, and certainly that great record. Well, I think Ronnie produced the first one, you produced the second, or maybe it's not the first and second records, but I know you produced records in succession. And I love, you know, you Make Me Hate Music, I think is what that record was called. But
Rob's a talented guy, man. He's also Rob's a crazy good guitar player. He kind of hides how good he is a lot of times.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till a few years ago. Like, oh man, like you're like Van Halen guy if you want to be, but you probably for good reason choose not to be. But yeah, he's a really good guitar player, which you wouldn't know.
I've seen him do everything from being this like weird gospel band around town, this like avant-garde gospel thing, and then I've seen Rob do sort of new age synthesizer sets. So it's like, dude can seemingly go wherever he wants, stylistically.
He likes the odd stuff, man. Rob's sweet dude.
Well, and I mean, it's great. They're thinking about how, your collaborations with him stretch back decades, as is the same with, of course, Jeff Cloud, who's had so much to do with putting out Starflyer records over the years. And I think about how mind-blowing it is that some of these connections, Lenz, whoever else, you've just maintained this friendship and these connections with these guys over all these many years, and some of what is the most resonant on this new record is when you sort of sing about people who are gone, and to me, that's just like, there's this connection, this sense of connection that you have with your collaborators and with your friends and with the people who kind of get where you're coming from. It's interesting to hear you on this record explore sort of the grief and the loss that comes, not in a maudlin way, like you said, it's not like you're completely Charlie Browning on this record, but it's important, I think, to think about those who are gone, and
oh yeah, man. No, man, it's not nobody likes change, me included. And yeah, no, I mean, it's looking back at people that aren't here or relationships you had that are no longer rolling. It's stuff like that always. I'm a pretty nostalgic dude, so that kind of, that stuff can throw your mind for a loop a bit here and there.
Horton, I think a couple of your favorite songs on the record are similar to mine. I really love 1995, and I really love YZ80.
Oh, wow, okay.
Those are absolutely, those are my two favorites. Just full disclosure.
Really?
Both of those kind of get me where I live. So, I think, all of us generationally, Jason, I'm about, 7 years younger than you. Woodbury's a couple years younger than me, but we all sit kind of in this same zone. And I don't think there's a person I know that doesn't relate to the lyrics of 1995.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I almost didn't put that on there because, I don't know, it didn't feel right. And then I didn't like another one that I had, and that wound up, that wound up making the cut, but that's cool. I'm glad you guys like it.
Yeah. Did somebody talk you into that one, or did you just get there on your own?
I just thought between the two that I had, or another demo I had, I'm like, oh man, I didn't really like either, to be honest, but I haven't, to be honest, I haven't listened to that in a while. When I finish those things, I got to get away, because if I actually really listen to those records a bunch, I'll never put them out. So I have to leave them so I don't. But I'll check that out. Anyways, I'm rambling on. Thanks, man. That's nice of you guys.
No, all good, Jason. So YZ80, can you or will you tell us who is your oldest best friend you're talking to on YZ80?
That would be my brother Ronnie.
Wow, that's beautiful. So
that's
you guys,
what we thought. That's beautiful.
I thought it was, some of the fans have mentioned that they think it's about your father, which obviously, is a possibility, but you pretty much address him in the verses. So you cite him as almost as another character. Are you talking about Ronnie beating you in a race?
Well, we were kids. It's not personal, like private. It's just a train of thought. We, before we were into music, we were into motorcycles. That's what my dad was into, and we did that as kids. And Ronnie was always 100 times better than me. There wasn't like a jealousy thing. It was just that. And I don't know, half our life was spent, rooting for Ronnie on, Saturday and Sunday at the races. And I had my dad bought me this 83 YZ80, and Ronnie kind of just took that thing over. And, I don't know, just a memory of my youth. And, driving I think we were going to some racetrack in a city called Gorman, I think, so we got the room, we got up early, just a snapshot of me being, whatever, 9 years old,
Oh, that's so cool. And it's funny because when people talk about the universal, versus the personal or the specific or whatever, it's so funny how often the more details you cite, like the more concrete, specific details, like noting the specific model of the bike, somehow makes it feel so much more universal, even though, I had to look up, okay, I'm not sure. I was like, that's a Yamaha? Okay, let me check it out. But it's funny because, I remember again in the liner notes, there's that great photo of you and Cloud, I think, on a pair of Moto Guzzi's. I don't remember exactly.
Oh, that's Andrew Larson.
That's Andrew Larson. Correct. Yeah. Horton talking about songs like 1995 and YZ80 hitting him where he lives. Martin, my dad and brothers are like big bike guys. So they're like, my dad's been a Moto Guzzi head my entire life.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember sort of seeing that, and in this weird way, sometimes you get the sense as a music listener, like, this is made just for me, and I remember seeing that photo, thinking about those bikes and thinking
those weren't our bikes, and I wish they were. We could never afford something like that in our lives. So to be fake funny, we just wrote we exclusively ride Moto Guzzi's, total pile of shit, it's, but it's not that we didn't want to. I still like old bikes, I'm not like Harley guy, but any of the Brit bikes, the BSAs, the Triumphs.
I was going to say Triumph. I always thought Triumphs were really sexy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty, yeah, man, the aesthetic on those things is hot, so,
that's the same thing with Guzzi's, right? They're just so aerodynamic and so sculpted, but that's another element of Starflyer that I think is fun to think about, is I don't know how many other contemporary shoegaze bands or whatever were cruising around on motorcycles. Maybe all of them, for all I know. Who knows? But definitely, again,
I don't hang out with shoegaze bands. I don't know. I hang out with most of the same people I've been hanging out with the last 30 years, give or take. But
yeah.
Yeah, I never saw Kevin Shields on a bike. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I never heard of that either. I'm with you.
We're gonna get angry notes from podcast fans going, actually, Kevin Shields is longtime, motocross guy, or who knows?
He might be, man. I don't know.
In Ireland, vintage, but yeah, exactly.
Everything's about a look, man. It's there's certain guitars I like the way they look. I don't know. Just always been very particular about just things like that. I'm into old trucks and I'm into old guitars and everything, bikes, gear, everything just has to, it just kind of fills time. Everything has to have a certain, I'll obsess over the right Bakelite knobs for, some old stereo gear and for months to find it. And it's pretty stupid actually, but I don't know. Yeah, everything is, I don't know.
Hey, Rock That Doesn't Roll listeners. We just want to give you an update on our Patreon support. We have been very heartened to see new people signing up almost every week to help bring this podcast to you. And we could not appreciate it more.
Yeah, so for those of you who may or may not know, this is a work of love. This is a project that comes from the heart, and so we rely on funds from dedicated listeners like you all. Thank you so much to the people who've already decided to give. It's actually, I don't know, it warms my heart. I don't know how you feel about it. Andrew, you were raised Methodist. Is your heart strangely warmed by?
Yeah, just call me John Wesley over here. Yeah. No, it is the thing that, is required to make the show. We are still not really paying ourselves a fair wage, but we are offsetting some of the lost potential earning time that we put into this podcast.
Yeah.
So if you do want the show to continue existing, we do need listeners to support us. And, if that's not financially, you can tell people about us. You could share us on social media, do all other things. But we would love this to be something we can dedicate a lot of time to. But, we have to provide for our families, and we do not each have trust funds. I don't have a trust fund. You don't have a trust fund, do you?
No,
just
no,
checking. Yeah,
sad to say. Yeah.
So, we appreciate all the support.
Thank you so much, everyone.
No, I have to disagree with it being stupid, but I know what you mean. But at the same time, I think it's actually kind of beautiful because looking for something is an underrated pursuit.
It's better than finding it.
It's better than finding it. It absolutely is. It's almost like there's a letdown once.
Once you have it, you're like, oh man, shoot! Now what else am I going to look for here?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a never-ending quest. You'll always, having is not as good as wanting.
No, you're right. That's absolutely. That's a truism right there.
It's the weirdest, most upsetting human nature thing, but it's true.
The more you get, the less you like it. It's like, whatever, right? Less is more, right?
You literally have a song about that on your last record called New Guitar.
Yeah.
And that's what the song is about.
Correct. You're looking, it's what you want. You're like, oh man, I'm up with this thing, man.
That's what I always wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted.
Well, Martin, speaking of some people who are no longer with us, I think both Horton and I wanted to ask you about Mike Knott. Mike Knott, because, I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast will probably have some people who are listening to this one who don't always listen to it. But I don't think that on the whole, enough people understand who Mike Knott even is, and the the massive importance that he had. Horton, do you want to maybe set this one up a bit?
Yeah, I can. So just basically, I'm not even going to talk. I'm not going to speak to who Mike Knott is, but Jason, Mike Knott was a pivotal figure in you and Ronnie's life when y'all were younger.
Yeah, completely. 100%.
He really he kind of gave you guys your first break in music. I'm just curious if you could speak to kind of what Knott meant to you. Just anything on that subject.
Guy, man. We were, Christian kids and didn't really have a lot of access to a lot of tunes. And that was just one of the local bands. They were on Frontline. They put out a couple records, and it was the Shaded Pain album. And I'm just like, man, I like this guy's haircut, man. I like these chords on these songs. Then I saw him live, which was hard, because it wasn't like they played all the time. At the point I was into him, and he was playing, I don't know if he borrowed, he was playing like this black Telecaster, and he was just, bending these notes like it was like a twisted Chuck Berry or something.
Yeah.
And like that kind of guitar playing. Yeah, it's really weird. Like I still do that. Like I like just the way, just finding spots and just bending notes till they worked. And there was just a sloppy kind of way that he played that I just really liked a lot. I liked his voice. And I haven't really thought about it much till right now, but I guess, people don't really talk about Mike's guitar playing, but that had a huge influence on me.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you hear about him, you hear about his sort of the way Blonde Vinyl and Tooth and Nail sort of helped usher in a lot of stuff from the sort of quote unquote Christian underground into more like the mainstream. I think at this point it's kind of mind blowing to me how far some of the Tooth and Nail bands have completely crossed into the mainstream.
We talk about that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, outside of like the ones that are just like successful as their original groups, and then you get to people like, I don't know, Father John Misty probably hates when people blow up his spot that he worked at Tooth and Nail, but, stuff like that. So it's kind of
why everybody's, I mean, I guess I get, I have no shame in any of that stuff, man. I know where I came from. I grew up in bars. It's like, who cares, man?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. It's like, yeah, man, I'm a church kid. I still go to church on Sundays. I grew up in Christian music. And so, there's about a handful of bands that I was influenced by, and it just kind of is what it is,
I know groups like, it was through you guys that I got into stuff like Daniel Amos and stuff like that. It was
Oh man, I was texting with Terry Taylor a few days ago, man. That guy was really talented.
Man, we got to get him on the podcast someday. I mean, just for
yeah.
because like,
imagine?
The Daniel Amos stuff is wild because some of the early stuff, fits in with the sort of weird cosmic country stuff that people are into so much right now.
Shotgun Angel, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get into, of course, to the sort of more new wavy stuff, the more angular stuff, which I think was, it was so attractive to me.
I love, man, is all, the Alarma Chronicles, which would have been like 80 to 84, I guess.
Yeah. Great records. And I think people like Not, and the Daniel Amos guys and others, I think there's another thing that I'm curious if meeting Not, Not was, he was a guy who had his struggles, and was pretty open and honest about his struggles. Was there any part of you that saw him as like a Christian artist who was just also, wasn't fronting, wasn't faking, wasn't needing to pretend to be something that he wasn't? Because that's the other thing, you're being very open and saying like, yeah, I go to church, I do this and that. But I also get the sense that, but you just got to be a normal guy in a band too. You know what I mean? Like it's not some big division.
Which is fine. I mean, Not was like I don't know, man, the bad boy.
He was the bad boy of Christian.
He's a bad boy. No, I don't know. That's silly, but
Lonely boy.
I mean, actually,
bad.
man, I can blame that clown for me smoking cigarettes 50 years later. I saw him smoking after a show. I'm like 14 or whatever I am. I don't know. And I'm like, man, that guy looks cool, man. Like, I need to do that. When you're 100 years later, like, guy, how stupid. I mean, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. I had in my like random notes, like if we get to it, ask Martin did you guys ever, how often did you get scolded for smoking in like around church venues? Did it ever happen?
I was pretty, number one, I hated that I smoke still. But I never wanted to like bum anybody out. I was never trying to, this is who I am. Like I would always just sneak around the corner and, like I wasn't, I don't want to bum out some Christian dude that's going to be, that's never my, it wasn't like I was trying to smoke in the sanctuary, which I wouldn't do because I think it was disrespectful. I wouldn't do that stuff anyway. So
I think we can all agree, even if one still smokes, that smoking indoors no longer really being a thing is pretty good overall.
It probably is. I mean, I wish I could, but no, it's pretty, my brother Ronnie was smart enough to never do it. So that's probably why he looks, he's 3 years older than me and looks about 15 years younger. So there's the,
and he still sings 2 octaves higher than you, Jason. So,
oh, well, there's that too.
Well, your vocals on this record, they do sound great. I think that you're in some of the best singing shape ever,
That is remarkable because, I'm not looking for any compliment. The part I hate most about a Starflyer record is listening to me. It always is. It's been that's never been something I've ever felt really good about. It's just I've gotten used to it, but it's not like I like it.
Maybe
do after 30 years I can't switch singers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or you could, I guess you could start with a new singer. You call it Starflyer, 60 or whatever. But
then we would be able to do it because for some reason we'd only sell 3 records instead of 30. So then we're done. It's over.
We wanted to ask you also about looking over the credits of this record. It was recorded at Room. So Room is the studio. Horton brought up the great point. Is this the green room reincarnated or something like that? What is Room?
So I don't know what it's been now, about 5 years ago. I was able to finally, I've always recorded at home. Oh, not always, for about the last 20 years. And so I was able to build like an actual, soundproofed, legit, semi-legit thing inside my garage where I can track drums at 2 a.m. and nobody will hear me, or, mic up amps and, volume's no issue, and sound treat, all that kind of stuff, whatever. And so I never, we were just, we'd be hanging out, me and Steve, one of my, probably my best buddy. And he'd be like, oh man, let's head in the room and, work on this tune or whatever. And then he just started calling it Room, being semi-funny from that movie that was out like 10 years ago about that sick guy that put that lady and her kid in the room.
Yeah. The Other Room. There's 2 Room movies that are very well known, and one of them is.
So he just started calling it Room, like it's so awful in there.
Yeah, you're being held captive.
So you don't have to put that one in the cast either. But
I kind of love that. That's going.
Yeah, we might have to keep that one. Yeah,
that's going right in.
It's such a hellhole in there that this is what we're doing. So.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like that a lot. I mean, it's kind of amazing what you can do on your own. I know Horton records at home, as do I, and it's mind-blowing at this point how good sounds you can get, without even an amp if you're so inclined.
Oh, yeah. No, man. I try to, now that I have Room, in quote, I try using as little as possible just because as far as like, I try to treat my computer like a tape machine. I don't.
Yeah.
I try to keep all the sound. I don't try to mess with a bunch of plug. I'll leave that to mix guy, but I try to just get the best sounds I can. I want to mic everything up, and just in this world of so much not knowing what's real, at least want the records to be real. You know what I mean? As real as I can get them.
Yeah. I really like that approach. I mean, I think obviously plugins and all the stuff you can mess around with are great too. Yeah.
Great.
But I like what you're saying, a sense of like, there's a real mic on a real amp,
Yeah.
And I think it probably ties back into that thing you were saying about your attraction to, the aesthetic of a thing, a thing that
100%.
seems to, I think like, the sort of amplifier worship and get a guitar fetish stuff that has always sort of seemed to be a big part of the band is another. I mean, I remember there's one guitar that I always wanted to ask you about. It's that weird Les Paul that you were using around the old era. I think was it a Les Paul Studio? I did not have this in my notes to ask about.
Oh, it's I love it. It's a Les Paul Custom.
That one. I just remember the look of it. It looked like it was even heavier than a normal Les Paul for some reason. Is that the case?
They're all heavy, man. That's the problem. But man, Les Paul's not odd. I've always, for being a quote, indie rock guy, it's never been cool to use a Les Paul, but I use them all the time. There's something I just like.
Yeah, indie rock is overwhelmingly Fender, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I love Tellys too. I mean, if I had to. At the end of the day, man, if I have that Les Paul Custom and, I have the 70s Telly I've been playing for years, it sounds great. It's like that's kind of all I need. I mean, I do have a bunch of guitars, but at the end of the day, 90% of it, I'm like, it's usually one of the two.
Yeah.
Jason, Martin, some years ago, you were doing quite a bit of mixing and mastering work. Are you still doing that sort of thing, or have you moved on to just the Starflyer stuff and your work with Charlie?
I kind of ran out of steam. I was, that's probably 15 years ago. I was doing decent amount of that stuff and recording bands.
And a lot of those guys have kind of gone on to have bigger profiles too. We were talking about that prior to this chat. Woodbury, we were talking about Cigarettes After Sex and
totally
Cold War Kids.
The drums who you worked with,
the
drums who you worked with really early on, and they've gone on to do some pretty big. They're playing big rooms. It's crazy to think that your influence extends out.
Yeah, that's
that
weird,
far.
man. I don't know how much influence, but all those dudes were nice guys and they're talented guys. I mean, pretty weird, right?
I've heard Cigarettes After Sex. I think there's a pretty discernible influence, to some degree. You can tell that they're interested in some of that stuff, which is cool and wild. Who have you had some weird people come knocking on your door for potential collaborations? Has anybody really surprised you by sort of saying, hey, reaching out and letting you know that they were a Starflyer fan?
I've had it through the years, couple things like, oh, that's weird. That cat's into that, or, but I don't really have much of an online presence. So it's not like, whatever it is, man, Facebook and everybody, or whatever, I don't know. But I don't know, man. I don't know why I'm rambling on there.
They have to find you first, right?
I'm just, honestly, end of the day, it's shocking to me that we're still doing this 30 years later. I never really had any business doing this in the first place. I have no idea why there's people that still buy it. It's still kind of weird to me, to be honest.
But it must also, on some level, really, truly validate it, too. And it feel good to know that it's reaching people. You know what I mean?
It feels great. Like if we put out something and I'm like you, Morty's saying, man, I really like 95. That makes me feel good because like I said, I'm like, oh man, I that wasn't something I thought anybody would like, so, right. Not any, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, it wasn't a track that I was like, oh man, this is my favorite one.
Has it ever happened where you have had tracks that you think, oh, this is going to be one that totally does it? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is like, does that happen often enough, that thing where somebody cites a song and it surprises you because you never would have thought, oh, that's the one?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. That's the weird thing about music, man. Just people, including me, you just like what you like and you find out like, oh, that guy doesn't think like me. He really loves that song and I love that song. It's a weird thing. Music's it's a very nuanced thing when you think about it, just what people gravitate towards, or you know what I mean. It's always been kind of strange. There's no like I like to think most of life, hopefully you try to make it black and white, but music is about as gray as it gets.
Yeah, especially because you don't even get to pick whether or not you love a song. You know what I mean? Like if you love the song, that's something that happens instinctually, I think, and
something happens to you. There's songs from my youth that I still love that I think maybe they put me in a place. Or are you guys familiar with any Morrissey stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
So what is it? The Viva, you guys have the Viva Hate record?
Viva Hate.
Got 'em all.
Yeah.
Okay. So for some reason, I think it's track 5 or 6, Late Night Maudlin Street.
Oh, heck yeah.
To this day, that song will kind of make my eyes water. I don't know why. It's not that it's the greatest song on there. It just does something weird to me. And I don't know. Music's a weird thing, man. It's not like that was a hit song. I don't know why I like it so much. I just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, Jason, the Smiths song that hits me like that is This Night Has Opened My Eyes, which is just a B-side. And that's one of those that just skewers me, man.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know.
I don't know
never
either.
understand it. And it's it doesn't sound like a lot of other Smith songs. And a lot of people would say, oh, you're trying to be obscure. You're trying to go for the cred answer. But yeah, it's funny.
The cred answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that there's this terrible thing where people, I guess part of what gets me is, when a song speaks to you, I mean, you almost have the choice of like, you could probably dissect it enough to figure out why, on some level, right? Or like it's this one lyric or this one melody, and then you can break down the music theory or something, and then you could say that. But at the end of the day, to me, I tend to think of it as like I enjoy it being a mysterious thing so much more.
It's very mysterious. It really is.
I think that's what music opens up a space for, is this kind of communication that regular talking doesn't allow for sometimes, and to me that's part of what makes it so cool and so fascinating and so endlessly worth exploring, is that weird mysterious thing of what makes you love a song. I mean, do you feel, is that on some level maybe why the band is still going, because you're still sort of chasing that feeling to some degree?
Yeah, man, I enjoy the process of doing it. Once it's done, it's just kind of, once I hear the mixes, to me the record is over. But the weirdest part is then it takes another 9 months or whatever it is for it to come out. So like Lust for Gold, I think it comes out a couple weeks or next week or something like that. But yeah, that album's been out to me for 9 months, so it's like I'm not kind of out of that thing right now or whatever, so it's kind of weird.
Do you usually start working on another record directly after finishing one?
No, I'm always kind of writing tunes or laying down riffs, and then I'm just old, and it's hard. Like there's got to be something I want to do with the next one to make it interesting, even if it doesn't wind up being that different. There's always got to be some kind of plan. Like, oh, dude, I kind of want to do this, and there's got to be some kind of plan for me to like do it. And at this particular moment, I don't have some plan of like, oh, dude, I kind of want to do this thing on this new one,
Yeah. Well, now that you've got Lust for Gold, I think you should call the next one Return Here, a Stranger. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. The sequel.
It'll be a sequel.
How about I've Never Made a Mistake?
Yeah.
That's where I think I'm headed. Just let everybody know how great I am. And then,
I think it's time, right? It's time for you to embrace like the heel turn in the Martin story is that now you're, it's mirror universe Martin is taking over. Evil Martin
now
is in
finally
control.
realized I'm hot shit. This is
Darkflyer.
Darkflyer.
Grow the Fu Manchu back, and then let it rip. So
that's what I'm gonna do. That's it. Now we got it.
Anti-Americana.
Yeah, great. Because that would be such an original concept right now. Wow. I mean, how groundbreaking to be a brother.
Well, Martin, it's been such a huge treat having you on. Before we go, we've got one more. We just have to do it.
We got to ask.
The question is there any chance that Starflyer is going to play live again at some point? Even if you can't... Yes, there's a chance.
Yes. I do want to do... I'd like to do about 5 shows just to kind of wrap it up. Whether that happens, I don't know. Because I just want to do it as a 3-piece. The way we started was kind of shitty, so I kind of want to end it that way. I don't need to have a big light show. I just kind of want to be, I just kind of want to go out the way we went in. Just, I don't know, trying to play some tunes with guitar, bass, and drums. And
yeah.
I wish we were doing it like church basements, to be honest with you. with no PAs. To me, that would be cool too. Like I'm not looking for, but getting that together and doing that, who knows?
Well,
Plugged 2025.
yeah.
Could be. I don't know, man. But I like, at the end of the day, I like playing guitar. I don't like singing. I don't like talking like that. Not gonna. I've always liked playing guitar. So that's kind of why I still do records. I pretty much like picking up a guitar and playing licks.
Well, we are glad that you're still doing that, and congrats on the great new record. And
I appreciate it, man.
And thanks so much for being here with Horton and I. And Andrew, Andrew's
Morty, good talking to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good to talk again, man. This was fun.
Seriously, for the listeners, they know that Andrew's deft touch on this show is felt every episode, but it's so great to have him here in the crew talking on this one. So thanks for doing it, Andrew. And Jason, seriously, thank you for doing it. It really was a great time, and we appreciate you being willing. Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this, and I'm glad you guys like the record. Hey, promoting it, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. That's great. All right, fellas, have a good one.
That's Jason Martin of Starflyer 59 here on Aquarium Drunkard Transmissions. My name is Jason P. Woodbury. I write, produce, and host the show. Transmissions is edited by Andrew Horton, and art for this episode was assembled by Ian Everett. Music for the show comes from Frank Maston, and our executive producer is Aquarium Drunkard's founder, Justin Gage. Don't miss his weekly radio program, The Aquarium Drunkard Show, on Sirius XMU Channel 35 at 7 p.m. Pacific Time each and every Wednesday night. Transmissions is part of the Talkhouse Podcast Network. Visit the Talkhouse for more interviews, fascinating reads, podcasts, and more. Next week on Transmissions, synthesist and jazz rock renegade Rich Ruth. See you there. Spread the word about Transmissions in the meantime. Until then, this transmission is concluded.
Thanks so much for listening to this entire episode all the way to the end. Give yourself a pat on the back. And if you enjoy the show this much, consider becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/RTDR. Thanks so much.